You're listening to the Residential Movement, where the focus is on making in-home dental care normal instead of novel or niche. I'm your host, Dr. Ashley Robinson, a house call dentist with a lot of passion for reaching patients who are best served in their home or residence. I'm here to encourage, equip, and empower dentists like you to begin offering in-home dental services for patients who cannot get to the office, while also enjoying a more balanced work life. We discuss everything from dentistry, business, ethics, mindset, and more. Listen in to learn how you can become a part of the residential movement.
Recently, a listener reached out on Instagram to ask me a question, and I thought I'd let you in on the answer here today. If you aren't already, follow me on Instagram at Residential Movement. Sometimes there, it's easier for me to show photos and things. So I showed a photo of the back of my van before a day of doing house calls. I want to clarify that I do not own a mobile dental van. I have a regular minivan with stow-and-go seats in the back. You do not need to purchase a fully equipped mobile dental van with seats and a pan or anything like that in order to be a house call dentist, because your patients won't even be able to get into said van. All you need is some mode of transportation. When I got started, I started with my teeny tiny Toyota Corolla. If you have a car or even just a way of getting around like a subway, you can be a house call dentist. So anyway, I showed a photo of the back of my van with my setup for the day, and the listener responded and said, "What is that and where can I get it?" The equipment I showed was called a Milwaukee Packout, and I get them at Home Depot. I originally started offering house calls using a suitcase with Tupperware bins inside of it, which is a perfectly fine place to start. But then I met my now husband, who's an electrician, and he was like, "Oh no, we're going to Home Depot," and he introduced me to this Packout. Apparently, Packouts are standard in construction because they're easy to organize and they're what people use to cart their tools around. It makes sense. There are actually a ton of Packouts at Home Depot from a million different brands. I do think Milwaukee's the nicest brand, but they're bright red, so if that bugs you, find one that's a different color. I'm not a sponsor of Milwaukee or anything, I just think these Packouts are awesome. I will say the Packouts are more pricey than a suitcase, but they're more functional than a suitcase. So it depends on, what your priorities are, or where you're getting started. There's no shame in getting started with a suitcase, but you can also use these Packouts. So maybe you're wondering why I bothered sharing this question with you if it's just so simple. The question was, what is that and where can I get it? To which I answered, a Milwaukee Packout at Home Depot. Well, the response to my response is really why I'm sharing this story with you. Because when I answered this simple question and told this person what the equipment was and where they could get it, they responded to me like, "No, what specialized dental equipment setup is that? And what dental supplier, who do I need to contact to get that?" They just didn't believe me that the answer was just so simple. This is often the case when I'm discussing house calls with dentists. They're like, "What do you use? How do you do it?" The truth is, the answers to these questions are always so simple. I use standard dental equipment, and I just bring it to people. I'm not trying to say that being a dentist or being a house call dentist specifically is easy, but it certainly isn't rocket science. Preparing for a house call is pretty straightforward. It's probably a lot more straightforward than you think. If you think through the procedures you'd like to offer and how you'd like to transport things, you can pretty easily come up with a shopping list and get your practice going. If you're looking to learn more about the simplicity of the dental house call practice model, sign up for my free masterclass called Own a Practice That Doesn't Own You at residentialmovement.com/masterclass. Still, if you'd like help, this is definitely a topic I cover in Dental House Call Practice Academy, the online course for aspiring house call dentists. If you're looking to start your dental house call practice in 2025, don't be overwhelmed. Know that the answers to your questions are probably simpler than you think. Remember, if I started a house call practice, you can start your house call practice too. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Residential Movement. If you like what you heard today, please leave a 5-star review and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you know someone who could benefit from this information, please share this with them. All of these actions help fuel the residential movement. Visit residentialmovement.com for show notes and for access to any links referenced in this episode. Thanks again for listening, Doc. Keep up the good work.